Hey everyone, Jeremy here. It's Friday night and we're going to create some art. It's going to be awesome. Hopefully I've got everything set up right. The chat room wasn't coming up for me like in my normal way of doing it. So I kind of have this little side window. Hopefully that'll work out. I want to be able to see what you guys are saying while I'm doing my painting. You guys talking with me is an important feature of this thing. So I always like to look in on that. Another announcement. So I do have in the chat, like everybody's been asking for this. So like I finally got around to it. We're doing a poll to see who my stick figure guy, this little dude here, is, what his name is. People have been asking for that. So I thought, hey, let's just do it during the live chat. So we're going to do that tonight. Um, uh, that aside, we're going to create a painting tonight. Let's see, I didn't prepare an introduction for this. So what are we working on tonight? We're going to work on another coffee painting. As you guys recall, I'm trying to create a series of those. I've created several large pieces, so I thought I'd scale it down and maybe like do a smaller one tonight just to kind of change things up a little bit. But I'm still keeping with the wildlife kind of theme, and we're going to do a chipmunk. So that's what I wanted to work on. A couple of people requested it. I thought it'd be nice, so we're going to work on a chipmunk tonight. So I'm going to jump right into it. It is Friday night, so hopefully you guys, are chill and you guys want to relax and chat. I see a couple of people are in the room already. Kids in here, haters in here, rum dogs in here. So we got a party. It's going to be fun. As you can see, the dog is sleeping in the back. That's all we need. We're good. So let me go ahead and go to the full view. Yeah, so like in this program that I look at while I'm doing this, there's usually like a chat and that's not showing up. So I kind of have to rely on this other window. So this is going to be a little awkward tonight, but we'll figure it out. So again, just to remind you guys, there is that poll up there. This is my first poll, so I'm not really sure how to close it. I guess we'll just keep it going until the end, so that if people come in later on, they can also, they can vote as well. And we'll find out at the end who won. I know that this little stick guy, he's got his hands up. He's like, no, hopefully you guys give him a good name. I should also comment that there were only 4 slots. I know that there were actually more suggestions than just the 4, but they only allowed me to enter 4, so I just picked a few random ones. If your suggestion didn't make the cut, I'm sorry. Part of it's because of the limitations, and part of it is maybe I didn't notice it. I don't know. Well, but anyway, so hopefully you guys are having a good evening. I'm going to move these guys to the side just so that I can get started on this picture. I do have like a reference art of a chipmunk that I'm going to refer to because I have never done a chipmunk before. So anyway, this is going to be an interesting night. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully it was a good week for you guys. I know that my week's just been absolutely nuts. Keeping busy. And it's nice to finally get a moment to relax. So if you guys have been following my channel, if you're not following my channel, I do recommend subscribing so that you could follow along. You guys know the drill. I like to start these pictures with like a big glob of coffee, these coffee paintings. The reason why is because I wanted to kind of pull up so that I can use gravity and kind of create this like signature effect where it just kind of drips. It's fun. I like it. Got a nice little drip there. Sometimes gravity doesn't do exactly what you want it to. Let me get rid of some of this. So you kind of have to direct it a little bit. So I'm going to put in a couple of different channels just so that it's not just one big loop like that. And then try that again. These things are supposed to be expressive and you're supposed to have like some fun with it. Sometimes it doesn't always go your way, so you have to kind of like tell it, no, I really wanted a lot of little channels there. So as you can see, by just dabbing it a little bit, I've got like 3 channels. And I think for a chipmunk, that's probably enough. As you can see, per usual, I didn't really prepare tonight. So let me grab a little paper towel there, clean myself up. All right. So I think that that's a good start. You got some pulling here. It's a nice little effect. We'll build on it like we have in the past with some of our other pictures, but that's a good start. From there, I just kind of come in and I check in with the chat. Let's see, what are you guys doing? You guys just hanging out. Cool. I kind of come in and decide to like kind of give myself an idea of where everything goes. So like chipmunks have stripes. So I did kind of sketch it out a little bit beforehand where I kind of want everything to go. I need to remember, don't let me forget that this stripe needs to be white. So I don't want to paint over that. I make that mistake sometimes where I paint over something that shouldn't be painted over. So I need to leave that white so that you get the nice white stripe. No, a kid says it's cold there in Georgia. Sorry to hear that. I think we're supposed to have like -5 here for and in Kentucky, that's strange. We're not usually that cold. I did go out sledding today. It was awesome. We got like 3 inches of snow last night, and it's so cool. We don't usually get that much snow either. Maybe like twice a year or something. So I took advantage of it. I took my dad out sledding. It was a lot of fun. So just kind of deciding what parts of the animal are going to be shaded in. We're not really worried about like tonal values at this point. We're going to worry about that later. We just want a light coat of all the places that are going to have paint on it. Got moved into the mountains this week, came from the valley. Oh, so that's like an elevation change. Are they like really tall mountains? Because one of the things you have to worry about with that roam is elevation sickness. You have to kind of adjust to it. So, like, if you moved into some high mountains, make sure you don't do anything strenuous for like the next week or so, so that you can get adjusted to it. That's like one of those like little things that people don't realize when they go into the mountains. They need time to acclimate before they do anything crazy. I like hiking in mountains. That's where that little bit of advice is coming from. But yeah, it's been kind of a busy week. I mean, this isn't the first time I'm not prepared on a Friday, like for those that have been around for a while. Let me put my little stick guy back in here so that you guys can that's your inspiration on those names, by the way. It sucks that I only have 4 slots. Some of the ones that didn't make the cut I thought were kind of cool. I like the Chris Pine. So I put that one in there. Come on, dude, quit sleeping. All right, he wants to sleep that way. Um, so I put the Chris Pine in there, but there was another suggestion that I kind of like. It was probably going to make the cut if I had like a fifth slot, and that was Oakley. I thought that was cool because like I don't know, like Oakley sunglasses were like a big thing back in the day. Maybe they still are. I just like that word, Oakley. But I don't know. They only give you 4 slots. What can you do? How cold is it down there in Georgia, kid? I used to live in Georgia, by the way. I don't know if I ever mentioned that. I used to live in Riverdale, which is about 40 minutes south of Atlanta. And that was back when I was in school. I remember that was back when you were allowed to walk to school. Nowadays, everybody gets dropped off or you ride the bus or something. I remember walking to school one time, and it was like the first time it snowed there or something like that. It was mostly like snow flurries, but it was only like 35, like around 35 degrees. I guess it would have been colder for it to have snowflakes, but that was many moons ago. But yeah, I used to live in Riverdale. It was nice, really close to Jonesboro, which I think is a little bit bigger of a town. I don't remember. Let's see. Let me move this chat around. Make sure make sure I'm up to date on this. Cool. All right. I think I got everything set up. Like I said, it usually shows up. So I use OBS Studio. I don't know if I mentioned that before. And OBS Studio has like a plugin that allows you to see the chat while you're doing a live stream. And that's what I usually look at. And for some reason, it's not cooperating. It's not showing the chat messages. Glitches happen and stuff. So I actually have the actual YouTube little pop-up window going. It's, I hate change. I hate change, guys. I really do. I hate technical difficulties because it's tough enough to be on like live streams anyway, and then you have to adjust because of technical difficulty. Just gotta pivot with it. Sucks. 15 degrees and then that's cold for your area. That's nuts. I don't remember it ever getting down that low when I lived there. Hope you're bundled up. Hope it doesn't snow because I know that like in places where it doesn't snow often, whenever it does snow, people just don't know how to drive. Like even around here, we don't get enough snow where we're like used to it, sort of. Like I know people from New England and they're just much more comfortable driving in the snow. I'm pretty comfortable driving in the snow. I think I'm pretty good at it, but not everybody is. People just kind of like nuts. They'll just basically run off the road. So again, just to kind of narrate what I'm doing, I'm adding like a light base coat. It's a little darker in some areas. I might thin that out, but it's okay because I plan to build it up. Chipmunks are cool. Like they're like these little rodent creatures, and I guess I should say, just so prepared. I guess I should say this is 8 inch by 8 inch square paper, which is different than the 12 inch by 18 inch that I usually use for these pictures. And the idea is like I was thinking like if they're hanging up on the wall somewhere, it'd be nice to have like a little bit of variation in the size, give people like options. So I think I'm going to do a couple of these little small ones, and these small ones I think I will do probably just small like little rodent creatures like chipmunks, maybe squirrels, maybe a bunny. I'm a fan of hedgehogs, so that's probably going to be a thing. They're so adorably cute. I love hedgehogs. Oh, you live in the mountains. Okay. Yeah. So it's probably a little bit cooler up there than the other parts. Yeah, I think we might get down to -9 over the next couple of days. It's just crazy weather. Like it's been this way for the last couple of years. I don't know if it's like climate change thing they talk about or what, but I don't like it. We usually do get these periodic bouts of crazy weather. In January and February, we usually get like one deep freeze. I'm hoping this is it so that we don't have another one. And then the rest of the time, it's actually pretty nice living in Kentucky climate-wise. It never gets too hot. It typically doesn't get too cold. It's a nice moderate climate. Hey Larry, how's it going? Hopefully your week is going well. We're doing a chipmunk, in case you can't tell. And I guess at this stage, it could look like a chipmunk, it could look like a mouse, it could look like a squirrel, but hopefully it becomes recognizably chipmunk. Chipmunks are usually identified by that stripe on them, so hopefully I can nail that, and then it'll be pretty convincing. So at this point, I kind of want to go dark on these ears. Just in the past, I just kind of color them in and just like come back after it's dried and do the dark areas. I want to see if I can go dark areas without doing that process. It's a little bit darker, but I think it's got to pile up a little bit to be like strictly dark. But I want these ears and I want that eye to be like super dark. Not like so dark. Like the ear's not supposed to be super dark, but it's supposed to be darker than the other parts. So I'm just practicing, seeing if I can get that without waiting for it to dry. And I don't think it's going to work. I think I am going to have to build up the different layers. So I'm still practicing, still kind of learning how this medium works. I think it's working pretty well. I've been having a lot of fun with it. Um, Again, it's like watercolor, but I find that I actually like it more than watercolor. Like watercolor is obviously good if you want to introduce color and stuff, but I just like the coffee. It just smells nice. Like it smells really nice in here, and it's fun to work with, and it's kind of cool, you know. Like I mean, that's not the only aspect of art. It doesn't have to just be cool and everything, but it's nice, to have that little extra thing where it's a little bit different than what other people are doing. I like that aspect of it being. I mean, it's not like it's completely unique. Like there are other people out there painting with coffee, but I don't know. Maybe I can be the master of it. Like I can be, I can be the one guy who really, really paints well in coffee or something. I don't know. I do like the style of the pictures that I've been doing compared to other people's copy art. Like there are some copy arts out there that they're okay, but I feel like they're phoned in a little bit. I am I'm pretty happy with how mine turn out compared to that. Uh, just from like a stylistic standpoint. Like I could stop here and probably call it done. Well, not done. I mean, I'd have to add some more features, but that whole building up of the layer, adding in some cool coffee splatters, effects like that. Some other people do that, but it's not as common. A lot of people just come in and they just use the coffee like watercolor, and once they have like almost a drawing down, they call it done. I kind of like what I'm doing a little bit better. But you're supposed to, you're supposed to like your way of doing it. Otherwise, you just do what everybody else does. You got to put your own little individual stamp on it, I think. It does look like a crazy prehistoric bird right now. That's a fair observation there, kid. Right now, what's the Meet the Robinsons with the dinosaurs? Like, I've got a big head and little arms. That's what it looks like to me. Maybe not like a bird, but it definitely looks like it's prehistoric. But if you say a bird, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm going to tell you I'll fix it because it's not supposed to look like a bird. So I'm jumping into like smaller brushes a little bit sooner than I do with the bigger ones. That's kind of interesting um, because like I'm not covering as much paper here, so there are finer details. That's kind of interesting because this is the first one that I've done this small, and I'm hoping it turns out well because I want to do a couple more. I think I have about 7 to 10 sheets of this smaller paper left. So I'm not sure how I want to do these hands. There's going to be like these little hands, and it's tough enough to do a human's hands. So as far as getting in some uh, some little rodent hands, let's see how many fingers do they have? They have one, two, three, maybe kind of 4 fingers. So I don't want to go crazy with the detail on these hands. I'll just kind of suggest them a little bit. But they're super cute. So I think less is more. Just kind of suggest fingers, and then we'll leave it at that for now. And then if I feel a little more creative and wanting to do something with that later, I will. But I think things are going well now. I can see the chat. Let me check in on this poll, see what's going on. Oh, we've got a neck and neck race here right now. This is kind of cool. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are participating. So, hey, if you're watching this in the future and you didn't get a chance to participate, you missed out. That's why you need to watch every single one of my live streams because you never know what I'm going to be doing. Now I'm gonna get a bunch of hate mail now, like, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't make it. Why did you do the poll today? You're supposed to put it up on the community tab, like you said. I'm sorry, guys. I failed you. I really did. I was thinking about putting it up on the community tab, but I think this is better because, like, I thought, maybe people wouldn't see it there or something like that. I just wanted to kind of hint at some whiskers in there. I'll come back and work on that a little bit later. But now that it seems like everything's going well and I'm not having too much of an issue reading the chat, then I feel more relaxed now, which is, oh, I might tinker with this a little bit and maybe widen the stripe a little bit later. But right now, I just want to make sure that it's in there. Because I did have it sketched in, but I've covered it up by now. They're going. Chipmunks are cute. How'd the tailbone fare with the? That's a great question. All right, so Mama Q's asking about my sledding adventure today. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we did get like 3 inches of snow, which isn't a ton, but for around here, it's pretty nice. So I had a little bit of free time this afternoon, so I got the idea I'd go sledding. Um, Mostly, I felt the obligation to go sledding, and the story behind that is they're doing some construction nearby, and they built up this big mound of dirt, and it's been sitting there throughout like the summer and the fall, and every time I walk by, I go for like walks every day just to stay fit and stuff and things like that. So every time I walk by it, it's right by this park, and every time I walk by it, I'm like, that would be awesome to go sledding on. So every time that I saw it, I would tell myself, if it ever snows and I can get out there, I should go sledding on that. So today I woke up to like 3 inches of snow. So I'm like, I don't really feel like going sledding today, but I kind of feel obligated to go sledding because I told myself I would if the opportunity ever came up. So I'm sitting there talking to my dad, and I'm like, "Hey, what are you doing today?" And he wasn't busy. So I'm like, let's go sledding. It is so cold out there. It's ridiculously cold. So I dressed warm, and I'm like, this is gonna be fine. It's gonna be great. As soon as I got out of the vehicle, it's like I got hit with this like blast of cold air. It, I swear it was like -15 or something like that of cold air blowing on my face. It probably wasn't, but that's what it felt like. And I instantly regretted my decision. But we went and did it anyway. Um, I want to say a picture a big mound of dirt covered in snow and two guys who walked up that mound of dirt and decided to go sledding. What I didn't think about was it is construction. So in that big pile of dirt is also a big pile of rocks. And what you don't see in those pictures that I shared, I showed some pictures on a Discord channel. What you don't see in those pictures is that by the time we got to the bottom of the hill, that sled that I was on, it was just a little cheap plastic sled. It's shredded. There's like a big old hole in it, and that's where my bum hit. It hurt. It hurt bad. Like I'm still sitting kind of weird because like I landed straight up on a rock and it busted the sled, and that was the end of our sledding adventure. But it was fun. I'm glad I did it. It's just it was painful. So that's the lesson to you kids. If you go sledding, don't go sledding in a construction zone because there may be rocks underneath that snow and it's going to hurt. That's the truth of it, is that I busted my butt. Worth it. Totally worth it, guys. But no, if you're watching this, don't do it. But it was totally worth it. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I can't remember last time I went sledding. I've been skiing, I've been snowboarding, but sledding, I mean that's something I don't think I've done since I was a kid. So from that aspect, it was pretty cool. And my dad, he's 71. So in my mind, 71 out there sledding, and I hope I'm as active as he is when I'm his age. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, he wasn't having it either. We did like I think three three sled rides down each, and then by the end of that, the sled was busted, and we were like frozen and ready to go home. For some reason, you know how like you get your hands cold and it starts to actually hurt. For some reason, all that pain like concentrated in my thumb. It's like my thumb, like the rest of it was numb, but my thumb just like, ouch. It felt like a sprain or something. Maybe I did sprain it. I don't know. Anyway, point is, it was fun. It was worth it. I recommend sledding to anybody. I don't care how old you are. Well, that's probably not a good. That's not good advice. If you're over the age of 70, you probably should not be sledding. But for me, it was fun. There's a little bit of coffee in there. So if this is your first time watching me do one of these coffee paintings, um, basically what you don't see off camera is that it is like watercolor. You basically have some instant coffee here. You're using water to kind of like um, dissolve it. And then there's enough pigment in there, there's enough coffee in there to where you can kind of like paint with it. And depending on how much water you use, it's again, it's like watercolor. You can create lighter areas, you can create darker areas, and it works really well. And I've been enjoying it. Um, if this is your first time on the channel, my goal is to create a series of these that I can then take down to a coffee shop and connect with the public. I'm not worried about selling them so much. It's more like if I get enough of these down there, then I can actually have a conversation about them and connect with people like in the real world, and see if there's a good response to it. That's my goal. That's my early goal for 2024. We'll see how it goes. I may bring them down there and people may be like, I don't know, I'm not feeling it. I kind of see what you were doing there, but it's not my thing. If that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. But you never know until you try. So I'll do the work. What people think of the work, that's on them. You know what I mean? That's my outlook on it, at least. Like, all you can do is put in the effort. How people respond to it, you can't control that kind of stuff. I mean, you can kind of control it by doing good work. I don't know how to do perfect work, um, but that's all you can do. You can put in your best effort, and then from there, it's on the people. You didn't end up voting for your own suggestion, Mama Q. What was your suggestion? I forget. Oh, and I did throw out the disclaimer. I know you came in a little bit late. They only gave me 4 slots, so unfortunately, I wasn't able to get everybody's in there, which is a little frustrating. But I don't know. It's my first poll. I like the feature. I think we'll do more of those in the future. Like maybe I'll come up with maybe maybe I'll actually prepare. I wasn't prepared tonight. You can go back to the beginning of this and just see me floundering. But maybe I'll prepare in the future for 2 different pictures, and then kind of let you guys decide which one to do. That'd be kind of cool. If you guys are into that, you guys can, I'll be your puppet, and you guys can just direct me. I can come up with 2 different pictures that I'm prepared to do, and then you guys decide which one, and then that's what we do because the people have spoken. I think that'd be a lot of fun. In fact, I'm gonna do that at some point. Don't let me forget. All right. So I feel good about the chipmunk's bum. Let me let me work on his face a little bit, or her face. It could be a female chipmunk. I don't know. Oh, your suggestion was Chris Pine. Cool. Oh, did I put Oakley in there? Let me see what I actually put in there. Again, I only had 4, and yeah, Oakley is in there. All right, cool, neat. Yeah, there was a couple other. Maybe it was Sap. Yeah, somebody suggested Sap, and that's the one I had to leave off. And then there was a couple of other ones like Twigsley, which I thought was kind of cool. Maybe a little British. Um, that one was in there, and I had to leave it off because there wasn't enough slots. There's 1 or 2 others that I don't recall, but they're all creative. Like there was a McStickly or something like that. I thought that was cool. And then somebody suggested Rudy, and I'm like, I can't call him Rudy. There's a real Rudy out there. I don't know if he's ever been on this channel, but he could. You never know. So I didn't feel comfortable calling it Rudy, so I just left that one off. And I think that's most of the suggestions. There weren't like a ton of them. And like the ones that I put in there, I think are good. Like any of those are fine. Like whichever one you guys vote for, you're not going to you're not going to create difficulty on me. I think all of them are cool, and we'll just go with that. I wonder if do I have a bias? I'm trying to think which one I would like it to be. No, I think I'm good. Whatever you guys choose. All right, so I said I was done with this back side, but I guess I wasn't. Now I need to move on to the face because I do want to kind of get the eye going. So again, the eye is almost like completely black. In fact, there's no real discernible features around it. It's got like a little bit of a white reflection on it, and it's got a little bit of white in the corner, but for the most part, it's all black. And that's what I like about these like little rodents. I've drawn a mouse and a hedgehog before. Never a chipmunk. But that's the cool thing about rodents. You don't have to worry so much about the eyes. They just have these super cute little black eyes. Now it is tough to get like a circle like that, but you know, especially when you've been drinking coffee all day. The poll's still up there, Lorraine. If you haven't voted already, feel free to vote. And then I think at the end of the thing, we'll tally it up and see who won. So let's see who's winning. On my end, I don't know if it's different on your guys' end, but there's like an even tie. Somebody's got to put in a deciding vote. That's nuts. Let's see. Does it show stats on? No, it just has the option. Oh, there's been 8 votes. There's been 8 votes and they're spread across evenly. So that's awkward. We may end up with no name tonight, unless maybe I put in the deciding vote if it's a tie. I don't know. You guys are making me have to think here. I wasn't prepared to think about it. I just wanted to create a cool picture. I was gonna defer to you guys on whatever his name is. Yeah, somebody's got to come into the channel tonight at some point and break that tie. That's amazing. Unless the chat's broke and it's not telling me the truth, but that's what I say on my end. I really don't know. I've never done a poll before. I like the feature though. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I hope all of you guys are staying warm. My understanding, I know one or two of you may not be in the United States, but my understanding is that it's just cold all across the United States. I don't know anywhere in the United States personally where, you know, people are just sitting on the beach loving it. So hopefully you guys are all staying warm. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the winter for the winter, you know. Like it kind of sucks. It's not the ideal season, but you know, it only lasts a little while. Take advantage of it. Get some soup, get a hot beverage, maybe some coffee. And then you know, if you're not into coffee, get some tea, some hot cocoa, whatever your thing is. I'm not here to judge. And just enjoy it, you know. It's not going to be here for too long. It'll be spring and summer before you know it. That's my wish, at least. We actually have a little ways to go before it's spring. I hate winter. I hate winter, guys. I hate it. I don't like the time change where everything's dark. I want my daytime back. I like it being light out until like 9 o'clock at night or something like that, and you know, you can go out in the evenings and it's not like pitch black. It could be worse. You guys could live in I don't know if any of you guys live in Alaska, but I've been watching the Night Country True Detective on HBO. I just started watching that, so no spoilers. But yeah, apparently up there in Alaska they have like 3 days of night. That's crazy. And like I think it's the opposite sometimes where they have like I don't know if you live in Alaska, forgive me, I've never really looked into it, but I think they have like long periods of daylight sometimes as well. I couldn't live like that. I don't know how you guys do it. It's nuts. And I'm sure that's not just Alaska. It's probably that way in other parts of the world, but I like things being separated into like daytime and nighttime. Oh, Geppetto's winning. Cool. I mean, not cool that Geppetto's winning. I'm cool that I'm saying cool that there's no tie. Like I want this to be decisive, guys. I want you guys to figure this out, you know? We can't be on the fence. I'm putting in like more detail than I thought I would this early. I thought that like I would save that towards the end, but that's kind of cool. Usually, when I do these type of pictures, just because I'm covering so much canvas area, it's not canvas, it's paper, but because I'm covering so much area, I don't get to get into detail so quickly. I like this. This is kind of nice. I do like doing these small format pictures. And I think it makes sense to do these rodents this way. Um, there was there was another concept that I thought would be cool. Like you guys have probably seen this. This isn't like original idea or anything, but a lot of people do illustrations where there's like anthropomorphic rodents, and what I mean by that is like you you have like a little mouse that's wearing like a raincoat and a top hat or something like that, or uh, you know, they've got like a little knapsack over their back, or they've got like a backpack and they're going on some adventure or something like that, a little furry creature adventure. I wouldn't mind doing some of those, like those little types of illustrations. Like you probably see them in like I don't know, like fantasy stories or like for kids. Children's books, things of that nature. I've seen people do that, and I've always liked that style of illustrations. I always thought that would be fun. So I will probably do that at some point. Maybe not in like coffee, maybe in watercolor or something like that. But I do like the idea of like little furry woodland creatures going on adventures. And it's like nice rabbit. It is a nice rabbit, isn't it? It's a terrible chipmunk, but it's a very nice rabbit. It needs a bushier tail, I think. Do I even have the tail connected at the right place? Yeah. So it would be lined up with, maybe it needs to come up a little bit. Let me round that off a little bit. Yeah, get a little cottontail. I probably will do a rabbit for like Easter whenever that shows up. I did a rabbit last year, but it was a drawing and I'm not very happy with it. Oh, that's another idea for this channel. Let me know what you guys think of that. So I have been doing this for a little bit over a year now, and I thought, yeah, some of my pictures I'm not that happy with. Some of my early pictures from back in the day, things that I was experimenting on, and I wasn't very happy with how they turned out. I think it'd be kind of fun. Somebody suggested, well, why don't you go back and maybe revisit some of those pictures and give it a second shot. And I like that idea. I like the idea of like a redo on some of them. Some of my earlier works, just maybe show off the original and be like, okay, we're gonna try this again and see how it goes. I like that idea. So I might do that at some point. That one's kind of big. Let me go with this smaller brush. And if so, like I'm definitely taking suggestions. So like if you guys know of a picture, I'm asking for trouble here, but if you guys know of any a picture that I didn't do well, bring it to my attention, and maybe we'll have like like a redo or something, like where I try to fix it up and make it better. Like this some picture you were disappointed in or something where you thought, man, I don't know. Usually Jeremy's all right, but this one sucks. I think it's time for a what do they call that? Like not vindication. Yeah, maybe, but no, whatever the term is. I don't know. A chance to just make it better. A redo. Everybody deserves a redo. See, so the markings on here have to be pretty much right. I can smooth out some of these areas and stuff, but I can't screw up the markings. Otherwise, it's not. So when you have a picture this small, it is kind of important to make sure that some details get in there, I think. Just thought I was gonna- He is not cooperating tonight. He's supposed to be laying on his side. Let me fix him. There you go. He's supposed to be like laying on his side. He was well now it looks like he's breaking his back. Let me It is fun playing with him. Like sometimes I'll just sit here and because I don't just do the artwork and stuff. He's always sitting on my desk while I'm working on the computer or something like that. I talk to him sometimes. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I talk to whatever his name is, but we don't know yet. Um, and we have conversations, you know. And I like to think um, they're good conversations, but to be honest with you, they're a little wooden. That's fun. Sit with it a while, you'll get it. That's a terrible joke. The conversations are a little stiff because he's made of wood, right? I'm not going to say that he's bad at conversations, but sometimes he just gets he he becomes a big stick in the mud. It's a uh, they're terrible. They're terrible. Hey Packer, how's it going, man? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We were talking about that earlier. That was a lot of fun. I basically busted my ass though, because like there was rocks underneath that snow. I wasn't thinking it through. I mean, I'm not like hurt or anything, like, but yeah, I should probably put some more thought into that. Oh, I have learned another trick with this coffee stuff. So again, when you're done with the coffee pictures, you should really seal it because it is susceptible to moisture issues if you don't. So one of the things that I noticed is that you can actually work that to your advantage. I had a pic, I think it was a wolf picture, where I was done with it, but there was one little area that I wasn't happy with it. I kind of wanted to redirect that. It's kind of cool, and I think it's kind of similar with watercolor, but it's really easy with this coffee. You can just use clear water and just kind of like scrub it out, almost like an eraser. And I did that with a couple of features. I don't remember exactly where I did that, but it works really well. So, I don't think any picture is ever like completely irrecoverable. There's some pictures that maybe go off the rails a bit and probably you should toss it, but there are ways to fix these coffee pictures. It's kind of my point. For somebody who's interested in painting and coffee, um, that's one of the benefits of it. It's really forgiving, is what I'm trying to say, and I'm failing at it. You can fix mistakes pretty easy. One of the other things I noticed is that when I work in charcoal, erasing is actually part of the charcoal technique, really, where you lift up areas of charcoal to create highlights and create, um, like some form to your picture or something like that. I found that you can do that with coffee as well. So, like, if I wanted to, and I'm gonna regret doing it. No, this is cool. Yeah, all right. I'll demonstrate actually right now. So let me take my brush. I wasn't planning on doing this, but we'll go ahead and do it. So I think that this area should be kind of lighter, right? So what I'll do is I'll come in, I've got some clear water here, so I'll get it wet, and then I'll dry brush it. So let me clear off some of this water. I'll kind of dry brush it and lift some of that coffee up, almost like the technique that I use for charcoal, right? So by doing that, I am now creating some highlighted areas of this lake here. And I think that's really cool. And I like that so much that I think that because this is kind of what you do with like comic book art and things like that. If you draw like, somebody and they have like a blue shirt on and a red cape or something, you can create highlights in the red cape by doing this kind of effect in like a comic book style. And I like that it translates to this coffee as well. I don't know where all I would be using it, but as you can see, like right here, it allows you to create some really cool effects. So, basically what I'm saying is that coffee is super versatile. I'm surprised that more people don't use it. It's awesome. Like if you ever thought, hey, maybe I should do a coffee picture, Jeremy recommends it. It's what I'm getting at. Speaking of myself in third person, probably shouldn't do that that often, but that's okay. Jeremy, I don't think art can ever suck. I agree with you, Larry. My definition of art is that it's a symbol of expression and creativity, and maybe it's not the best art or whatever, but it doesn't suck. It captures the creativity of the moment. There's a silver of truth to your doll comments. It's not a doll, it's an action figure. Don't ever call it a doll. Actually, there's probably a technical name for these things, besides, like, I don't know, marionette or puppet or something like that. I don't know what the term is for these art dolls. I mean, action figures. They're action figures when it's a guy painting. But see, that's kind of a cool effect. Kind of gives it this like little three-dimensional. Now, for fur, I don't know if it's all that great. I'm gonna have to come back and add some texture, just so that it's not so blotted. But imagine if this was like I was doing a portrait or something. You guys have seen me do like like charcoal and pastel portraits. Um, it's it's kind of neat for that if you're wanting to create smooth areas, which this should not be smooth. It should be fur, but it's a good start, I think, because I did kind of paint that in. It was a little bit darker than I wanted. It's probably still a little too dark, so I'll probably still work on that, but I want to move on to some other areas first. But it's kind of cool. It's a very forgiving medium. And then, like I said, I mean, I mean, it stands the test of time. Once you seal it and UV protect it and all that stuff, it's just like any other medium. It's not going to degrade over time. Coffee itself isn't going to degrade. It's all of the other things affecting it, like the sun and uh, moisture, things like that. So those are the things you want to protect it from. But the coffee itself is not going anywhere. You can, I think I saw this in a YouTube video. They opened up one of those MRE packets. I think they called them sea rations back in like World War II or whatever. But they opened it up and there was like coffee for like soldiers fighting in the war, and it wasn't probably the freshest thing, but it was still usable. Coffee doesn't really degrade. It does demonstrate a reference. I have a reverence for wood. I respect wood, Packer. You know that. I have a deep reverence for wood. I like wood. Um, and I would like to do some wooden sculptures to be honest at some point. Like if I ever do take up sculpting, it will probably start with wood carving. One of the things, if I ever get around to it, I would like to do wood burning. Probably on this show. I have seen some phenomenal things that, like, I went to an art fair fairly recently, last year sometime, and this lady, that's all she does is she does wood burning, and I went into her tent to look at her work because the stuff she had on the outside looked awesome, and in my mind, like wood burning is something they did back like during the 80s or something like that. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were leaving Q. Have a good one. Sorry, I'm just running on about nonsense. You probably already left, but anyway, if you ever come back, sorry I missed you that you were leaving. I like to say bye to people when they come in, and I like to say hi. Like to say bye to people when they leave, and say hi to people when they come in. As you can tell, I've been drinking tonight. Sorry, but um, yeah. So back to my story. This lady had some phenomenal wood burning stuff in her tent, and I thought it was amazing because in my mind wood burning was kind of like a relic of the 80s or something. I didn't know people were still using it and doing like serious art with it. Like her stuff was as pretty as anything that I've seen done with like a painting or things of that nature. It was pretty phenomenal. And I think she was also a tattoo artist, and that's probably where it came from. Like you can do some amazing things with tattoos, and I think she carried that into her wood burning um, skill set, or just way of looking at things, really. So I think that's why it worked out for her. Yeah, sorry I missed you leaving Q. She'll be back. Q's a fan of the show. We appreciate Q. Um, I don't think I'm breaking any confidence to say that she likes to paint. I'm not going to, I don't know if I still have some laying around and stuff, but she likes painting. Hopefully she will share some of that stuff at some point because she's pretty good at it. I like her work. A lot of the people who watch the show are artists themselves, and we've done a episode in the past where people who watch the show submitted work to, and we kind of just like shared it all. I think that was fun. We should probably do that again sometime because the stuff that other people do is really interesting to me, and I learned from it, and I'm happy to share it. I just think that's really cool. Starting to look like a chipmunk to me. I don't know. What do you guys think? Looking like a chipmunk? I really want this eye to be super dark, and I think I'm trying to think what it takes to make it super dark based on that horse one I did. I think maybe 3 layers of coffee. By the third layer, it looks super dark. Anybody have any plans for the weekend? I always like to ask that on Fridays. It's been super cold, so I'm debating whether or not I'm gonna go to this meetup that I'm signed up to go to. Um, Especially if it's supposed to be like 0 degrees tomorrow, which I think it is. I'm really debating whether or not I want to go, but it sounds interesting. It's no secret that I like artsy things and I like, you know, maybe some intellectual things and stuff like that. This one's a meetup for like a philosophy group, and I think it's going to be an interesting discussion. Um, I just learned of this philosophy group. I haven't attended one before, but I've attended things like it in the past, and I kind of know how they go, and I'm really looking forward to joining that group and hanging out with those guys because the topics that they got are really thought provoking. Like this one is on the topic this time is what was it? I don't want to mess it up. It's about it's about egotism versus altruism and like morality or something or ethics or something like that. I have it written down. I don't have it memorized, but it's supposed to be interesting. Like, you know, it's basically a discussion of whether or not people do good works out of selfish interests or do they do good works because they're altruistic. And it's really tough. I mean, I don't know like how the discussion's going to go. I try to like go and learn more than go and offer opinions because I don't know where I land on that, to be honest. Um, Usually people do things just because they're altruistic, but if you think about it, you know, they also feel good for doing it. So is that a selfish thing or is that like an altruistic thing? I don't know. Like I like to do good things because it makes me feel good. Is that like altruistic or not? I don't know. It'll be an interesting discussion, I think. I'll let you guys know what they say if any of it's interesting. But like I said, it's the first time I joined this meetup group, so I don't know how it's going to go. They might just be a bunch of assholes. I don't know. It's an interesting topic. I wanted to go to their one in December, but it was Christmas time and things were going on, and I just couldn't make it work in the schedule. But that one was actually about art. It was about art influences and something to do with David Hume, but I don't know how that was related. I don't know, but I really wanted to go to it. I thought it would be cool. Kid says she can't draw or paint, not that's why I like to watch others do it. I think if you gave it a shot, you might be able to do it. I think you could because I really believe that anybody can do this. I believe that it's just a matter of like practice and muscle memory, and it's like exercising, you know. I'm sure there are some people out there who can't go for a jog for whatever reason, but I do think that most people who can, you know, like at least do exercise or something, they can build up to like jogging a mile. I feel like it's the same way with art. I feel like your art's going to look different than somebody else's, but I think that's okay. You know, there's all kinds of different forms of art, and take it from somebody who does hang out in like, you know, art galleries because that's something he's into. There is a wide variety of art on display, and you would look at some of that and you would be like, that looks like a kid in school did it, like an elementary school kid or something like that. And the truth of it is, no, that's a professional artist. That's just their style. It's about being creative, and it's about like, you know, accomplishing whatever it is you're trying to accomplish through your picture. It's only a little bit about like actual technical skill or something like that. Some people who paint aren't that great at drawing, and vice versa. Um, I'm actually better at drawing than I am at painting. And it's not like just being artistic and successful in one type of medium translates to all mediums. I mean, some of it does carry over, but I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say being bad and or being good in one doesn't definitely doesn't translate to being good in another. And being bad at one doesn't necessarily mean the same deal, you know. I say everybody should give art a shot, you know. And don't give up just because your first picture doesn't meet your expectations. Actually, it might exceed your expectations. You might go into it being like, oh, this is going to suck and be happy with it, you know? I've seen that so many times. I've seen people go in saying like, I just can't draw. I can't create anything or whatever. And then they sit down and they actually give it an honest shot and they're surprised that it doesn't completely suck. That happens all the time. And then, you know, they keep practicing with it and keep practicing with it, and then someday at some point it ends up looking satisfactory to them. Now they're still going to be like kind of judgmental of their own work and stuff like that. I'm not saying that they're going to be completely. You've got master artists who are completely miserable and hate their work. um like, in fact, I think that that's kind of more probably like most common. Like every artist hates their work. I think that that's a generality that is probably true. Like, it's not necessarily the case, and it's probably not always the case, but generally speaking, yeah, most artists hate their work. um you guys have heard me badmouth my own artwork enough times to realize that. But then also sometimes I look at things and I'm like, oh, that's not that bad. That's actually kind of cool, you know. So I don't know. I don't know what my point is. I think I think we just go back and forth a lot. We don't have any confidence. That's what it is. We lack confidence in our own work. Yeah, it's not that we hate our work. We're not confident of our work. But I think that's the way it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to be confident in your work. Yeah. All right, I'm going to take a stance on that. You're not supposed to be confident in your work because ultimately it's on the viewer to judge. It's not your job to judge your own artwork. You know, once you put it out in the world, it's done. It's off your hands. Whenever this chipmunk's done, my part's done. It's on you guys whether or not you like it or not. I have no say in it. Who am I to judge your opinion? It's your opinion. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with my art. It's like whatever you guys, it has nothing to do with the art in itself. It has to do with your experience of viewing the art. Now, it's my job to make that experience go well, but if I did my best, it's kind of out of my hands at that point. There you go. I don't know what I'm saying. It makes sense. Oh, kid, give it another shot. But thanks, Larry. Yeah, I probably am too judgmental. But I don't know. I think that's just part of the art experience. I mean, you spend time on it, you want it to look good and everything, and you're looking at it as, well, I didn't accomplish exactly what I wanted. So yeah, I think it's normal to be judgmental. It's probably the more common experience. And could you imagine the asshole who goes off and creates a painting and he's all smug about it, like, man, I nailed it. Like, that's not right. Like, you're not. And then like you look at it, like he thinks he nailed it. He thinks it's the best artwork ever, and you look at it and you're like, that doesn't look great. And I mean, who's right in that situation? I think both. That's one of the cool things about art. It's not completely a subjective thing, but it practically is. There's like so many different ways to consume art. Uh, I think I talked about some of these things before. So like, you know, there's there's the objective side of art. Like, is it technically done well? I don't know. There's the subjective side of it. Like, what's your experience with it? Like, for all I know, you have a prior experience with chipmunks, and you're looking at my you have a prior experience with chipmunks, and you're judging me based on your prior experience with chipmunks. Sorry, that just sounds funny to say. Um, yeah, maybe you were hiking in the woods. What did Moon say? That's an unfortunate drip location. um, yeah, watch out for Moon. He puts in some good ones. Yeah, so like say you like hiking in the woods like I do, and one day you were hiking through the woods and you saw a chipmunk and you thought it was cute and you went to go and pet it and it bit you and you got rabies and like, it was just a bad experience for you, right? Well, now if I go off and I paint a chipmunk, you don't like my chipmunk because you don't like chipmunks at all. It has nothing to do with the chipmunk I painted. That's the way I see it. So there's that. That's the subjective experience of the chipmunk, or just your subject. Like, probably a chipmunk's a bad example, but say I've created a picture that the intent was to capture like a mood or something like that. And I've done some of those. Like, if you go back through some of my art, some of it might be using colors or, might be a little bit dark or like a really bright one or something. One of them's supposed to make you feel like happy and energetic. The other one's supposed to make you somber and reflective. Or like I might do a portrait where the model is in a particular pose that suggests she's sad, or something like that. That is that's where, as an artist, I'm trying to convey a mood. Your subjective experience with that mood and stuff, that's on you. Like, you might experience it differently than somebody else. So there's all that. So there's the objective side of it. There's the subjective side of it. If you really want to get into it, you can, like, no piece of art is truly standalone. You might want to look at it in the it's how does it represent the artist himself, right? So like I've taken to doing these coffee pictures lately. Um, if that was my only thing, which it isn't, but who knows? Like, if I become the guy who does coffee paintings or whatever, then you look at this chipmunk and you're not just judging it as like, well, is this a nice chipmunk? You're judging it as like, well, is it a good representation of the complete body of works of Jeremy, the coffee artist, or something? There's a bunch of different ways to view art, is what I'm getting at. And there's, you know, that's why I really look at it as like, if I create something and I feel like I'm done with it. And that's my responsibility. My responsibility is to decide when I'm done, decide if I give it my best, because I'm judging it too. Maybe I feel like I didn't give it my best or something like that. So, but, but yeah, so my view on that is that once I'm done, once I've made that decision, it's out of my hands. I have nothing whatsoever to do with it. It's not like it changes the body of work, or it's not like it changes the chipmunk picture that I did for me to like try to convince you that it looks nice. You know, that's on you. You're gonna either think it looks nice or you don't. So it's not like I can convince you by trying to talk you into it being nice. Like, this is the best chipmunk in the world, guys. It's not. I've seen some chipmunk pictures in my day, and out of all the chipmunk pictures, this is the best chipmunk picture ever. I mean, that doesn't change the actual chipmunk picture, you know. Me trying to talk you into it being nice. It just doesn't work. Let's see what I missed in the chat while I was on that diatribe. Um, I consume art like Ralph Fiennes in Red Dragon. Nice. Pretty sure that the chipmunk lives right outside the house. I like chipmunks. Chipmunks are awesome. Chipmunks, squirrels. I think I told you guys I used to have a pet mouse back in the day. I love that pet. I love that mouse. I love little rodents. They're great. They just do cute things all day. Little rodents and little birds, like little tiny sparrow birds or something. I love those things. Let's see, how are we doing on time? I need to make sure that I get the rest of this guy in here. All right, let me stop with all these like detailed areas and kind of get the rest of my base in here. See, kind of get some fluffy areas through here. I want this little tiny thing. Speaking of little tiny paws and doing cute things, gotta get the fur of that in here. Brush it down a little bit darker area there. Yeah, I didn't really want to do that until I got some of the details in here, just so that I know where everything is. But now that I do, I feel comfortable getting some of this other stuff in here. I will give you guys a pro tip if you ever decide to do art streams on YouTube. Don't eat pizza before you do it. I keep burping on pizza, and it seems like every Friday I do the same thing. I go and eat pizza, and then I try to do the show, and I'm just burping the entire time. I apologize about that. Gotta erase this a little bit. Get that going into that little stripe coming down. So he's got another little paw down here. It's kind of suggested for now. I'll come back and add some darker details where like little shadows are and stuff. But I just want to get that in there. This area through here is another little paw that's barely seen, so I don't need to add a lot of detail to that, but I do need to get it in there. Ferrets are amazingly cute. Oh, chipmunks are destructive, yeah. A hairless hamster. Oh, that sounds weird. So I say that sounds weird, but at the same time, I'm like, man, that must be interesting to draw. Like getting the actual anatomy of a hairless any animal. I should do a hairless cat uh, drawing, just because you're doing like muscle and skin and stuff like that. That'd be kind of cool. So I'm gonna kind of like leave this a little bit rough because I do kind of want to pull some of these things down, get some cool little artistic effects. All right, so while that's kind of drawing, I do want to get, I don't want it to be like overly technical, so I do want to kind of get some of these features in. So I do like the arrangement of this. So like we accidentally ended up with this like perpendicular, yeah, this basically perpendicular drip here. And I like that, but I don't want that to be the direction of this picture. So I do like, kind of flicking these like little dots and stuff to kind of give you an idea of it, of some, like little slash movement going. And I like that it kind of like matches up with the face. The face kind of looks shark-like to me, but that's the way these chipmunks look. It's like a furry shark. Like if I went like this and I just showed that face and it wasn't furry, that looks like a shark. He does need a nut. Yeah, he needs like uh I don't know if I can just do a nut offhand. let me put that in like after I've given some thought on like what like because I want the nut to be proportional. So I don't know like what size an acorn might be to like a chipmunk or if a chipmunk even eats acorns. I don't know. But I do agree. But since I want this to kind of like eventually be hanging on a wall somewhere, let me make sure I do some research on what's a proper nut to give a chipmunk. But I do like that idea. That's a good suggestion. Hey MJ. Oh, I saw you in here earlier. Sorry, MJ. I like to say hi to people. I noticed you come in, but I didn't say hi. And also, let's see who else is in here. I said hi to Rome. Who cares? I think you came in and I didn't say hi. Sorry about that. All right. So I do like that. Kind of want. Usually I do these things after thinking about it for a bit, but because it's so small of a picture, and we made pretty good progress so far. I'm gonna go ahead and think these things out now. So I kind of want this bottom area to be kind of like dark, right? So like this will be the dark area of this painting, and it just kind of comes down, and it's a little blobbish. I think that's a cool look for these coffee paintings, and I think that's a good area for it. Now, I don't know how much of this I can get in at one time, but I've mentioned before about how some of these cool little effects are made. So after you've got a base coat and you let it dry, which that back leg's been drying for a while, it makes it a lot easier to just kind of dabble in some more coffee and then don't smear it out, just let it sit and pool and stuff like that. And what happens is it dries in some really interesting ways, as you've seen with the other pictures. Like you usually don't see this while I'm working on it. You usually see it like when I post it the next day. But yeah, you end up with like some of these caked in areas, and I think that looks cool. Like you guys aren't here in person. In person, you actually get a little bit of texture out of it, and it's super shiny. I should mention that these coffee paintings they shine in the light. All that coffee stuff, it kind of looks almost like plastic. So this little dark area back here, I think, can be a little bit abstract, just kind of blotted in. I think that's a cool effect. And then I kind of want that blot to come up into the stripe so that the stripes are just blotted in as well. And then kind of flowing into that tail. And then it becomes like, all right, the central feature is the face, which I'll clean up a little bit. And then it kind of just abstracts out into these other features that are less defined. Like you don't need every single um, like strand of hair in this tail or whatever for it to be a tail. I want that to kind of come out to the edge. All right, so we'll see how that dries and then we'll tinker with it. A lot of this is adjusting things after the fact. Let's see. Let me clean this. I keep forgetting where I put my paper towel. If you guys saw the beginning of this show, I was not prepared. I basically came into the chat like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" I feel a lot more prepared now, but I forget where everything is. It's always this way on Fridays. Like on Tuesdays, I'm a lot more prepared. I've given some thought to what I'm doing. I have everything laid out right. On Fridays, it's just like, man, I usually by this time on Friday, or by the time I start the stream on Friday, I've already drank a bit, you know. Like you guys see me drink throughout the show, but like I just sip on it because I've already drank one of these glasses. Drunk artist is what I should name this show. So you can even use your finger and just kind of lift some of that stuff up, like I was talking about earlier on creating some highlights and stuff. And you can do that kind of thing in watercolor too, but it works. It's super easy to do with the copy. Oh, I don't mind you guys. Yeah, I think the squirrel does need a nut, but again, I'm not sure what kind of nuts. Did I say squirrel? Chipmunk. I do think the chipmunk needs a nut, but I'm not sure what proportion that would be, so I need to look into that. But I'm liking how this turn is turning out. I think it'll look pretty cool when it's all said and done. I'm not sure. It is a little bit different than my other pictures from a side. So I really need to think about some of these extra little features, like how crazy I want to get with them and so on. And since I'm putting a nut in there, I won't worry about these hands too much until I do. Ah, he is bashful tonight. Yeah. I always try to put him in a different pose, but I don't really know what poses to put him in. Tonight he was wanting to hide. Like so there's a light up here to light up my drawings. But in fact it's a terrible light. There's kind of like a yellow to this that isn't there in reality. It's more white. Um, but that light's always shining in his eyes. He's wanting to take a nap and I won't let him. But yeah, Bashville's good. I like that. How are we doing on the poll, by the way? Let me double check. Oh wow, we got a clear winner here so far. With 14 votes, no less. All right. I mean, anything can happen. Maybe one of them will pull ahead or something. It's not over until the end of the stream, so there's a little bit of time, but there is definitely a front runner right now. I'm not going to bias anything by saying what it is, but you guys can probably see that yourself. I don't know how these polls work. There's definitely a front runner. But like I said, I thought any of them were cool, so whichever one it ends up being. So I think this needs to dry a little bit through here, but I can darken up some of these areas a little bit after it does. Let's see, I think there's a little bit of darker fur coming through here. I think it's a cute little chipmunk so far. Definitely these stripes back here need to be much darker. But I want to let that kind of dry. Let me see how it's going now. Let's see. Yeah, I think I can add a little bit of darkness to it. I think coffee is a good medium for doing chipmunks because it is monochromatic, but it's brown. So like if you're going to do a chipmunk in one single color, brown's probably the right way to go. One of the reasons why I'm doing almost exclusively wildlife, I say almost because I'm not really sure what all pictures I'm going to do in this coffee thing. Just all I know is that I need to get a lot of coffee pictures done. But I'm not 100% sure what they're all going to be. But I think the wildlife thing really works well with them because, it is brown, it's monochromatic. There's some things that are appropriate to be in brown and then other things that maybe aren't. I think that definitely wildlife. I also thought it'd be kind of cool to do some architecture, but I'm not really sure what I'd do there. I thought it'd be kind of cool to do like a castle or like a street scene or something like that, but definitely wildlife works well with these coffee pictures. Maybe a portrait would look all right. I haven't given that a shot yet. Maybe I'll do that on the side, like not during a live stream, just to see if I like it. But I do like the wildlife this way. Hey, welcome back, hater. The moon is our mission says, I'll throw a couple of chipmunks with acorns up on Discord so you don't have to go look. Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. Cool. Yeah, it's just, I want to do some sort of nut, but I'm not sure what nut, and I'm not sure the proportions. So I'd have to see a picture of a chipmunk holding a nut just to get an idea. I mean, I could do it like an acorn or something just from memory. I mean, they're not complex items, but I don't know what size to make it. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe like just right here, but I don't know. Is that too small of an acorn? I don't really know. Oh, setting up a new TV. Congratulations. It's great. Hopefully it wasn't that complicated. The funny thing is, setting up a TV nowadays is basically code for I'm going through a bunch of settings. It's not the TV itself, like the hardware. It's just you plug it into the wall and maybe attach it. Well, you don't even attach it to the internet in most cases. It's just, Wi-Fi or whatever. It's just going through all the different screen settings. I do not envy you on that, sir. I envy you on the new TV. That's pretty cool. But all having to do all that setup, that's a chore. You said you live in London, right? There any British TV shows I should be watching? Because I do like British TV. I like, you know, the usual stuff that people talk about over here in America from Great Britain. I like Doctor Who. I like Sherlock. That was a great series when it was out. I wish that would be come back. Like my understanding is that the actors are all on board. It's just worrying about schedules and stuff like that. I love anything Sherlock Holmes, but Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock Holmes, that's a winner. Like I was a Benedict Cumberbatch fan long before he was Doctor Strange, just because he was on. He makes a very good Sherlock. I'm trying to think of other British shows. I usually don't see them until they make it to like Netflix or something like that. What was it? Speaking like Broadchurch. That was a good show. I think eh, probably other ones that I like. I just can't remember. So I do think that this is pretty good start. How are we doing on time? Yeah, we got a little bit of time. We can start putting in some of these other. Oh yeah, Wallace and Gromit. Yeah, it's cheese. I love me some Wallace and Gromit. Let's see, get a little bit of a. Yeah, there's some areas that I just want to be blotchy, to match that style of these coffee paintings. And I don't know which all. I kind of make these up as I go, and it just kind of works out. But there's a there's a chance you can overdo it, but beyond that, there's no real wrong way. So like, you put in a big blotchy area or something like that. You put in too many of them, that might be problematic, but just putting in a blotchy area in like a place, don't stress it too much about where you put it. I mean, make it make sense, right? Like, it makes sense for these blotchy areas down here because you're kind of part of the shadow and it's kind of fading into the thing. But like this little bit here, it doesn't hurt anything if that's there, even if it's not supposed to be there. Fortunately, due to the accident, I couldn't meet with my friends when they come to see me. However, oh, geez, man. Watching me on a massive 128, ugh, that probably shows a lot more detail than I want. Oh, that's cool. Thanks. Hey, hater friends. Nice to meet you guys. I'm in Kentucky in the United States, and Hater seems like a pretty cool dude. Met a couple of weeks back on another channel, and yeah, It's just fun. We're doing a chipmunk. So, Jeremy, have you ever seen a Stellar's Jay? He would compete with the chipmunks. I'm not sure what that is. What's a Stellar's Jay? Is that like a bird? Sounds like a bird, but I don't really know. Spot the tea, Gromit. I can't do a British accent. It's cheese, Gromit. Uh, it's been a while since I saw that show. I'm not doing it justice, so I should just stop. Like, I don't know, some of my jokes don't land. I should just stop doing jokes. I should definitely not do um, accents or anything like that. I'm just not very good at it. I don't know, W. Let's see, what other details can I get into this face? It's kind of funny, like the picture, you just keep doing the same things over and over again. You just keep adding layers to it. And then at some point, it just starts to like look finished. This doesn't quite look finished yet, but it's getting there. Um, I mentioned before, and I think I keep bringing it up on these coffee ones just because they start off so flat. You start off that with that light base coat, but the more you add to it, it starts getting these tonal values to it that weren't there in the beginning. And just the nature of this coffee, it really takes a bunch of layers because you're just piling coffee on top of coffee. But it really starts to come together the more layers that you add like that. Yeah, it sounds like an awesome TV there. Oh, okay, Larry. Yeah, a very large bluebird. Okay, I do know what you're talking about then. I've got some bird feeders out in my front yard. We've got some really cool birds that come through, especially in the snow. We have in this area we have red cardinals, um, which are apparently the male cardinals. I didn't know that. The female cardinals kind of have a like a brown chest. I don't know much about animal, differences like that, but anyway, the red cardinal against the snow that's out there currently is just phenomenal. It's a sight to see. I wish I had taken a picture of it, to be honest. If they're back out there tomorrow and there's still snow on the ground, I will take a picture because for those who don't see red cardinals in your neck of the woods, it's a sight to see. It really is, especially on the snow and all that. But yeah, blue jays are awesome. Blue jay family. Considering I do so many animal pictures and wildlife pictures and things like that, I really need to start learning some of the zoology there because I don't know what most of these things are named. I don't know I don't know too much about them, especially like with the dogs that I do. People tell me what breeds they are, and then I almost instantly forget them. I'm learning so much by doing these pictures than I ever did in school. Let's put it that way. Yeah, because like I don't know how much of it I'm retaining, but I mentioned before, depending on what kind of art you do, you basically have to become an expert in all these different things that you're tackling. And maybe not an expert, but you have to be kind of competent in it. I mentioned that a while back when I was doing a full portrait of someone, a female character who I think she was wearing a wedding dress, but it was reminiscent of like the Victorian period's dress, things of that nature. And this kind of shows my ignorance on it. Really, I should be able to understand that sort of fashion because if I'm drawing or painting that fashion, I need to be able to get the details in there. So to have a little bit of an understanding of fashion makes a lot of sense. And if you're doing like people, having an understanding of anatomy makes a lot of sense. All these different things. Yeah, like if I were to, if somebody asked me to paint a car or something, and then I need to know about cars. It's just such a wide variety of things that you need to know as an artist. I'm not sure there's any other field that's like that. Now you can narrow the type of pictures you do and be kind of like a specialist, maybe. But just in general, just a wide variety of things you need to be familiar with, not maybe an expert on or anything like that, but you should be familiar with them. So I should be familiar with chipmunks because I'm painting a chipmunk. I should be familiar with a wolf because I did a wolf last week. Well, guess what? I had to look up what kind of wolf that was. Um, a very funny example. I was doing what I called a monkey painting. Turns out it was not a monkey, it was an ape, and there's a difference. I didn't know, but I'm learning, and that's what's fun about it, you know. I am learning so many different things by getting involved in drawing that have nothing to do with, or drawing and painting and just doing art that have nothing to do with the art itself. I'm learning about the animal kingdom. I'm learning about how people are structured. I'm learning about culture, you know, all kinds of neat things. So forget about school, guys. Just paint. That's all you need. Just paint pictures. You don't need to go to school. You'll learn all kinds of things. I'm just kidding. It is a great way to explore things, though. Like just looking at this chipmunk, I'm making observations. I mean, how's that not science, right? Don't usually watch TV shows due to your work, but I strongly suggest checking out Liaison. It's a cryptographer. I found it fascinating. Oh, okay, yeah, I would probably be into that. I just finally got around to watching Mr. Robot, which was pretty cool. As a programmer myself, I'm into topics like that. I don't do like a lot of cryptography in the type of software that I make, but you know, it's there. You just have to like my experience with various ways of doing cryptography is that you use a library and you hope it works, and you have to have a basic understanding of what it is you're doing. Like if you're creating a hash of a string or something like that for a password or whatever, you need to know that you know like 256 is better than you know nothing at all, and just hope that it works. That's my entire experience with that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's fascinating stuff. It really is. Should go conceptual and try to translate to art some of the stuff I do with software development. That'd be kind of interesting. Just from a, what would this thing be like if it was art? I do like some of the computer only art that people are doing. There's a subreddit where they post like pixel art, and some of it's like animated. I love that kind of stuff. That's kind of cool. I do like animations. Um, One of my first things in doing software development was actually Flash back in the day. Um, it's kind of it tells you my age, but long before you know HTML and animation. That's my dog over there drinking. That's not me making weird noises. I feel like I have to say that every time. But long before like HTML animations and stuff like that, you had that thing called Flash that everybody hates. Well, it was very good for making, and people still make cartoons with it. It's still a good animation tool. You just can't use it on the web anymore. But back in the day, I was pretty good at doing Flash animations. That's actually where I got my start in doing web work. Is I saw some other guy doing animations in Flash, and I'm like, well, I can do that, no problem. So I went to the library, checked out a book, and learned like Flash, the basics of Flash in like a weekend. And I was hooked, and I was just doing, you know, a different kind of art, but art in Flash. And I haven't done that kind of stuff in decades. So um, that's kind of why I enjoy doing this kind of stuff now. But now I'm specifically trying to do traditional art where it has nothing to do with computers. Like even though I can do digital artwork and stuff, I'm forcing myself not to. I want to be a traditional artist just to see where I can go with that. So I don't know if you guys can see it or not because of this camera, but I like just the way that the coffee is dried. You kind of have this neat little ridge here, and it's kind of continuing down here. It's not ultra realistic. I don't know if a chipmunk looks like that in real life, but it looks cool. I like that for this coffee art. So I just wanted to point that out. Well, Hater, I do have to encode something, so like I do have a base understanding of it. Um, I mostly built software. I built some mobile apps, but mostly it's web applications. So you do need to secure that stuff. Gotta secure it. Make sure people don't do things they're not supposed to, right, dog? Dog's back there like, oh. Let me pet my dog real quick. Yeah, I can do both. I can pet my dog and also work at the same time. But yeah, just it's simple stuff like locking down things. It's almost like necessary. Now, depending on like what your actual programming job is, maybe that's not your responsibility. Like that's one of the interesting things about software development nowadays versus like when I got into it. Things are a lot more siloed now. Back when I got started, you had to be basically a jack of all trades. You had to build the front end, you had to build the database, you had to build the server side stuff, you had to worry about security, you had to worry about graphics. You basically had to do everything. Nowadays, it's a lot more specialized. So, like, you might get a job, um, just working in databases or something, and you never ever have to create any kind of graphics and stuff. Most of the programmers I know, they're not artists anyway. They're not front end developers or anything like that. It's kind of rare that you have somebody who does both. But back in the day, that was the case. That's why you had so much bad web graphics, is because people who shouldn't be creating web graphics were the like non-artists were creating all the web graphics, and that's why you had the blinking, um, you know, craziness. Like everything was a lens flare, all that kind of stuff from back like 90s, early 2000s and stuff. Encryption is the key. I like that. Jeremy, how long have you been painting with coffee? That's a great question. So, I don't know, like a few weeks? No, so I painted a picture in coffee for a friend of mine as a gift, just because I had heard about coffee painting and I wanted to try it back in 2014. That was the first painting I ever did. Then the second painting I ever did was last year on this stream, and it was terrible. And then a couple of weeks ago, at the start of this year, I did one that I was happy with, and that's it. I can count on one hand how many pictures I've done. Wait, one, two, three, four. Yeah. Well, with this one, literally one hand how many pictures I've done in coffee. I love it though. It's great. Dog's coughing up a lung. That's what you get for drinking water so fast, man. These dogs never learn. Yeah, so I haven't been painting with coffee for very long, but all the stuff that I've been doing over the past year here on this channel, I started this channel to practice and learn and get better at it and stuff. And yeah, um, hopefully you guys can see it. It kind of pays off, like practice really pays off because I do feel like I'm doing better stuff than what I used to. And it does translate. So like I can pick up a paintbrush and do something halfway decent in watercolor. And then because I can do something halfway decent in watercolor, I can do something halfway decent in coffee. Or theoretically, I can do something halfway decent in acrylics. Now, each of these are different, they're all different mediums and they have different ways of doing things. But the basic concepts are there. Like for example, whenever I do a picture in acrylic, I like starting with shadows and then building up to like the lighter areas. And I kind of do the same thing with charcoal. I start with shadow and I build up to the highlights. It's not that way with watercolor or coffee. You have to start with the light areas and then build into the shadows. And that's why you see as the picture progresses, some areas are starting to take more shape and focus and get more detail in them. That's because that's layer a layer of coffee creating those shadows. And you can't do that. You can't just start with the shadow and then, well, I guess you kind of can, because I did demonstrate over here where you started with some darker area and you lifted this up to create light. But anyway, in general principle, you start with the light areas and then you create shadows. Anyway, what are you guys talking about here? Would be thrilled to have you in England. I'm confident I can find you a job since you excel at. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Um, yeah, what's the weather like in UK? Like right now, most of the United States is frozen. Not most, I don't know. My understanding is that most of it, I know it's frozen here. Jeremy, your chipmunk looks good in coffee. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, MJ. I think coffee works really well for this chipmunk. I think I made some good choices here. So this is only 8" by 8" paper. I think that works good for a little rodent like this. I think it looks nice. Um, I think that coffee is a good medium for this little guy. I think it's a good collection addition, an addition to my collection. That's what I was trying to say. So I've got three pictures, three larger pictures that I've done in coffee, and I'm happy with those. I think this guy looks similar enough to where he would fit into that collection without stretching it at all. So I'm pretty pleased with how these things are turning out. My dwindling collection. It seems like every time I do one, somebody wants it. That's cool. The goal here, so I hate to say it, and I'll try to break it up with like some other pictures so that's not all coffee paintings, but unfortunately, I do want to get some of these coffee paintings done, so I'll probably be working on these for the foreseeable future. But I don't want you guys to feel like you have to always watch these coffee paintings, so I am going to break it up a little bit. Like the other day, I did the scribble art. That was fun. I might do more of those. I'm not 100% happy with how that scribble art turned out. Um, I don't think the proportions are correct and stuff like that, but it was fun to do and it didn't take very long. So I think anytime I'm bored and I just want to kind of like mess around, I might do one of those scribble art pictures just to see how it goes. Scribble art is fun. Leave the kitty alone. I do need to paint Archer and copy. That's a great suggestion. That's a great idea. Yeah, because Archer, well, you guys have probably seen Archer kind of in the background. It's like a little orange kitty. I think that so this looks orange mostly because like the yellow light in here kind of makes it look orangish, but it does look a little bit brown. But I still think Archer would look good in coffee. Ah, weather in UK is like my girlfriend's mood. Always sunny and pleasant, right? That's what you're saying? That's the correct answer. If you're saying that it's like your girlfriend's mood, then it's always sunny and pleasant. Archer is a cute kitty. Now they're over here eating food, and that probably sounds terrible too. I should put their food and water away when I go to do these things. I don't know. It's kind of informal here. Hopefully, you guys don't mind it. You know, if they're eating in the background and stuff, that's, that's how nature works. Need to fix up this ham, but I'll worry about that when I put in the nut because I do think that's a good idea. Assuming the chipmunks eat nuts. I don't know. For all I know, they eat people. You know, the raccoons are vicious. I don't know about chipmunks. Whenever I see chipmunks out in the woods and stuff, they're just doing cute little chipmunky things. They're running across the field or something like that. They're like little tiny mice. Guys, shh. Nobody wants to hear you yapping. Or snacking or whatever. You're making me hungry anyway. I'm gonna eat all your dog food. These guys. I'm not gonna eat their dog food, although I really should. So I don't know if you're noticing or not, but this is something they do. They go over and they get the dog food, but they don't eat the dog food there. They take it over somewhere else and then they eat it over there. It's so weird. And I think one of them taught the other to do that because one of them does it a lot and the other one didn't, but now both of them do. They'll go and get food out of the dog food bowl, and then they'll go somewhere else to eat it. They're so weird. It's so weird. So I green is people, yeah. I don't know what that is, to be honest with you. I don't know what Soylent Green is. I mean, I know what the brand is and stuff like that, but I don't know what's in it. It sounds very strange to me. Um, some of you guys know Rudy. He lives by it. Like that's all he eats. I don't understand it. Or drinks, or whatever the case may be. You would throw a cigarette, yeah. So if you were being super creative, now it's the chipmunk. It's not a squirrel. Hopefully it looks like a chipmunk. But yeah, like just have a cigarette hanging off or something like that. Or you can make like a statement about how you shouldn't litter or something by have him smoke, like holding a cigarette butt or something like that. I mean, art can go any way. Like I'm trying to just create like wildlife pictures and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, you could get creative like that. I think. Let me see. I want to get some larger. I don't know if this is going to work. Yeah, I want to get some larger splotches in here. So it may look like I'm screwing up the picture and stuff, but it's more controlled than that. So like I can redirect this one a little bit. This one's going to dry pretty light anyway. But let me smooth that out so that it doesn't look like it's just the ground. But these back here, it's all cool. It'll look good. It's just more mess that I have to clean up after. Like I said, with these type of effects and stuff, you really can't go wrong. Now, there's probably something to be said about like overdoing it. You don't want to overdo it. I want to get like some little fur bits up here so it's not completely smooth, especially on this line up here. Anyway, you can probably overdo it with those effects, but you know, it's not something you should really worry about. And then this is something that I usually wait until the end to do, but since we're coming up on 2 hours anyway, I usually wait until the end to put in, you know, one of these like little coffee ring type things. But all I do with that is I just take this like little cup of coffee here and I just like, boom. That's all there is to that. But now it looks like he's kind of riding like a little tiny bicycle, which I think is actually kind of cool. But I'll maybe put another lighter one like here or something. There's no wrong way to do it. It's all for effect, you know. And once it dries, I mean, it looks a little weird now, but once it dries, it'll look kind of cool. Yeah, it's a chipmunk, or it's supposed to be a chipmunk. But just little things like that. And then, you know, some of this stuff has to dry before I really finish it off. Hey, Babetta, I haven't seen you in here in a while. Um, hopefully things are warmer out there than it is here. But yeah, so some of these things you have to really wait for it to dry before you can put another layer on. So I'll probably do that off screen since we're coming up on the 2 hour mark anyway. But it's just it is a bit chaotic. In fact, if I ever, so let me run this by you guys, and you guys tell me what you think. Um, yeah, the dogs are protecting their food. That's a good point, Lorraine. Um, so I always thought that like if I did have like a show that of just the coffee paintings, I would call it chaotic neutral coffee. Just because I think that rolls off the tongue and it's kind of got a little bit of a Dungeons and Dragons reference to it. And I think that would be kind of cool. But I thought I'd run that by you guys and see what you guys thought. I think it'd be kind of cool. But it is chaos, you know. It's controlled chaos, you know. You when you put down like a splotch of paint, you really have no control. Like right now, I might need to do something with this because it looks like the chipmunk is pooping, and I don't want that. So it's controlled chaos. So like even though that chaotically fell like that, I can redirect it a little bit and kind of round it out a little bit so that it looks less like poop. It just looks more like part of the chipmunk. So just redirect it a little bit if there's any kind of problem areas. Which, big poop splatter, not all that great. But things like this, if you don't want it to dry in a pool like that and you just want it to dry lighter, you can mop some of this stuff up, just kind of with a dry brush, just kind of dab at it until it kind of mops up. Caffeinated Creations, that's another good one. Just kind of, address some of the problem areas if there are some. But I believe it's just chaos. Let it be chaos, because this part over here isn't supposed to be all that perfect. This part here, the focal point, that should be a little bit more controlled, right? So it's controlled chaos. So I might take this one and just kind of redirect it up a little bit. And then just like let it dry and see how it dries as it pulls. Guys, you're gonna have to lay down. We're almost done. They've got this internal clock when they look at it and they see that we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. They think we're done. Your internal clock is off, dog. Go lay down. He comes over here like, why? All right. So since they're getting antsy, I probably should call this soon. But I think we're pretty close to being done. I'll probably let it dry and then come back and see if there's any areas that need to be touched up. I do that with all of my pictures. It's not really fully done until the morning. Like, I'll probably look at this ear and be like, well, there needs to be some darker areas in that ear. And I don't think that eye, even though it looks dark on camera, it's a little bit light to me. I really want those eyes to be almost black. His fingers aren't looking all that great, and that's because I think I'm going to put a nut in his mouth by popular demand, and I'm not really sure what kind of nut or how big to make it yet, but I'll probably paint that in. I do like this back part here. Fixed a little poop problem. That's good. Um, Even the little coffee rings, I think it's like he's on this little mini bicycle, and that was completely by accident. So some of these things are happy accidents, right? Um, when I was doing that horse picture in coffee art, I ended up putting 5 rings in there, and the odd thing about that is that it was a gift for somebody who works at the equestrian organization that works with the Olympics. So accidentally, I put in the right number of rings to make it an Olympic horse. Some of these things just happen, and it's kind of cool. It's a lot of fun. Um, Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that, and thanks, Larry. Yeah, cool. And thanks, MJ. All right, so I think I'm going to wrap this up because the dogs are getting antsy, and I think it's done enough to where I feel proud enough to end it on this note. But I'll come back and I'll take a look at it throughout the night, see how it dries. Like this little area here, as it's drying, it may dry with like a ring around it. It may dry just kind of blotted like that. I don't know. That's part of the fun. You don't know until it's done. I do like how some of this stuff is kind of pulled together and stuff. Like these little dark areas, I really like those. That's where it's gotten so crusty that it's almost black. And that sort of area is what I would want for the eyes. So I have to come back and add more layers to make that. But which night is this squirrel going to find? It's a chipmunk. It's not a squirrel, guys. Learn your wildlife. When I do a squirrel, the squirrel would kind of have like fluff coming off of it. It wouldn't have the stripes. The stripes here, it's a chipmunk, guys. All right. Yes, so let's check the poll, guys, while we're here. I appreciate the compliments on the chipmunk. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Let's check the question of the night. My first time doing a poll. You decide, what is my sticky friend's name? This is my sticky friend. He's been sitting here without a name for a year now. He's been in every single show that I've done. I think every show, maybe not the first one. He's my constant companion. I talk to him all the time. That's fine, Ben. I talk to him all the time, but he doesn't have a name. We've been calling him all kinds of random names. I think most commonly we call him Woody. But he hasn't really had an official name. So I decided to let you guys name him, and You guys really came through. By popular demand, Geppetto finally has a name. So I'll introduce you guys to Geppetto. And there you go. Geppetto says hi. All right. I appreciate it, guys. I think that's about it for me tonight. Let me go back to this. Yeah. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's been an awesome Friday. Even though I got off to a rough start because I wasn't really prepared, I think the picture came out well. It's been an amazing chat. You guys were awesome. Geppetto finally has a name. Geppetto is so happy. And yeah, I think that's it for me. I want you guys to have a good weekend. Hopefully you guys stay warm if you're in one of those cold areas. You know, have some soup. Enjoy the holiday. Hot chocolate, not holiday. Enjoy the season. You know, of winter. It doesn't last very long. It's kind of fun in some ways. Like I said, I went sledding today. It was amazing. You don't get to do sledding in summertime, or you could, but it's going to hurt a lot more. So take advantage of it while it's here, even though it kind of sucks. It's cold out and everything like that. But most of all, stay safe and have a great weekend. And I will see you guys later. Bye. Thanks.